Hi guys, if you're facing a lot of problems in your personal relationships and in your professional relationships, or for that matter, any relationship that you have with other people, then this video is for you. Please watch this video till the end because I'm going to discuss one particular thing which changed the way I used to look at my relationships and which I promise you changed my relationships with a lot of people for the better. So please make sure that you watch till the end. I'm sure this will be adding a lot of value in your lives. Hi guys, I'm Anurag Mehta and you're watching the AM Talk. Guys, if you face some problems in your personal relationships or your professional relationships, then the meaning of that is that you have a low balance in your emotional bank account. And what is an emotional bank account? We all know what is a financial bank account. Financial bank account is somewhere where you deposit money and where you withdraw your money from. If you keep on depositing your money, your financial bank account increases. If you keep on withdrawing your money, your financial bank account decreases. Same is the case with emotional bank account. But here the currency is, instead of money, the currency is trust. So if you make people trust you more, your emotional bank account increases. If people trust you less, your emotional bank account decreases. So today in this video, we'll be discussing in detail that how you can make your emotional bank account increase and what are the things that you need to do to have a strong and good emotional bank account. So guys, as I just described, an emotional bank account means the level of safeness, security and trust in a relationship. And how does it gets built? Well, it gets built through certain deposits that you make by being courteous in a relationship. If you're courteous, then these are small. Being courteous is a small deposit. Every time you are courteous in your relationship, that acts like a small deposit in that emotional bank account reserve. If you are kind, if your small act of kindness act as a kind of a deposit in a relationship. If you're kind to your subordinates, if you're kind to your colleagues, if you're kind in your family, if you're kind with your spouse, that adds to those relationships. If you are honest, if your honesty is the core of any relationship, if you're honest in your relationships, a person gets to know that this person is an honest person. That reputation builds over time, and that also acts as a small deposit every time you interact honestly with someone. Keeping your commitments is a strong emotional deposit. If you make a promise and you come through that promise, slowly people start trusting you. But what happens when you make these small deposits? Well, actually what happens is your trust levels with all these small acts of deposits in your emotional bank account, the trust level keeps on increasing. So what happens is, if me and you are in a relationship and the trust account has huge reserves, even if I make small mistakes, my trust reserves will compensate for it. Even if I do any mistake, if I have some communication problems with you, you will still not get mad at me. You will, if my communication is not clear, you will still get what I'm trying to say, what I mean to say, because you just get me. Our emotional bank account has huge reserves. If I even by mistake say anything mean to you, you will not get upset, because we have built huge level of trust over time through small act of kindness, courtesy, honesty and keeping my commitments. But on the contrary, what if you are discourteous? Every act of discourtesy act as a withdrawal from that emotional bank account. Whenever I am discourteous towards you, I am not just only being discourteous to you, I am withdrawing trust from my trust account. What if I'm disrespecting you? There are a lot of people in our personal relationships, our friends, our colleagues, which many a time disrespect us either knowingly or unknowingly. They feel it's okay, but no. It's a huge withdrawal from our emotional trust account. Whenever you disrespect me, you lose trust with me. So if you value the relationship with anybody, try not to be disrespectful. Whenever somebody is cutting you off, it happens that 4 of your friends are doing a con call, 4 of your friends went to a party without even informing you, and they think it's okay. But what happens is they are making withdrawals from your trust account. You will never trust them again the way you used to earlier. Similarly, if I'm ignoring you knowingly, that you may feel bad, and if you're catching the vibe that somebody is ignoring you, that is also a kind of withdrawal in the emotional bank account. Overreacting. There are certain small situations where somebody just bursts, somebody just overreacts. Those are withdrawals. If in a office environment, suddenly your boss comes shouting at you, and then later on he gets to know that okay, it was not even your mistake, even if he says sorry, but you cannot talk yourself out of situations where you behaved yourself into. There are some times when we see a broken plate and we start shouting at children without even knowing that your pet was the one who broke the plate. And what happens? Your children has lost that trust in you because you didn't give them a chance to explain themselves. So though these small things which we do unknowingly are withdrawals from emotional bank accounts. So do not be discourteous, do not be disrespectful, do not cut off somebody knowingly, do not ignore somebody, and do not overreact. And also betrayal. Betrayal is also a very, very, very big emotional withdrawal. If we betray, if we do not follow our promises, if we do not follow our commitments, it is a huge withdrawal. People will not believe in your commitments next time the way they used to before you broke your promises. So guys, you'll say, okay, that now you understand that what are the kind of deposits and what are the kind of withdrawals. But what happens when an emotional bank account deteriorates? I'll give you an example. Suppose your emotional bank account deteriorates. It ruins your marriages. It ruins your relationship with your children. It ruins friendship. It ruins your confidence you have built in your professional setting. For example, let's take marriage. If slowly, two people who are in an institution called marriage start disrespecting each other, start being disrespectful, start being discourteous, start ignoring each other, overreacting, what happens is slowly that beautiful relationship known as marriage depletes to a situation of just being tolerant towards each other. Just two people now living independent life without being problematic towards each other. And what happens if this situation deteriorates even furthermore? A lot of slam doors, a lot of arguments, a lot of overheated situations, And what happens if it deteriorates even more? People file for divorces. And now these are the same people who once were in love with each other truly and madly. And now they are in front of a judge telling how bad the other person is. So my suggestion would be, guys, to always focus on maintaining deposits and continuously depositing more in your emotional bank accounts. Now, I'll tell you 5 ways how you can deposit in your emotional bank accounts. 5 ways of contributing towards your emotional bank accounts. Number 1, understanding the individual. This is, I think, one of the basic and most core part of making other kind of deposits as well. Because until unless you don't understand an individual with whom you want to better the relationship and with whom you want to make the trust account go even furthermore higher, you cannot make a deposit until unless you don't understand that what is it that is considered as a deposit with by that individual. For example, if I have a bitter relationship today with a friend, I may call him to do party with me, but does that individual consider doing party with a friend as a major deposit? If I have a better relationship with my children today, I may ask them to have ice cream with me, but does one of my children consider having a huge deposit as ice cream eating with his dad? You getting me, guys? I may have a bad relationship right now with my wife, and I may go on a trip with her. I may arrange a trip with her. But is arranging a trip with my wife is considered as a huge deposit? So you need to understand the individual really deeply before even trying to make a deposit, because understanding an individual only gives you a clarity on what is considered as a deposit and what is considered as a withdrawal. And even if you don't understand that individual, your efforts to do a deposit may even turn out to be the efforts of doing withdrawals. It may be taken as withdrawals by the other individual. And guys, while you're trying to understand the individual, one thing that you really need to understand and keep in mind is, while trying to understand that individual, do not project your own feelings and treat them as a deposit. So many times, what happens is your children approach you and they want you to understand something, and you give them advice without even understanding them. You say, oh, I know exactly what you're going through, because when I was your age, I also went through this and this made me feel better. No, that was you at that age. Your children are not you at the same age. So what you used to consider as deposits when you were 6 or when you were 7, your 6-year-old child may not consider that as a deposit. You know, somebody somewhere said you can treat all your children as equals, as same, by treating them differently. So I think, you know, that is something that we need to take from. So number one was understanding the individual. Number two is attending to little things. Guys, we're all so busy in life in today's time. I mean, not exactly right now in the present because COVID-19 is on, but generally in life, we are so busy in our work, in our personal life, in our day-to-day relationships that we forget to attend to little things. I'll give you an example, guys. I have this business partner who is my business partner in my advertising business. And what happens is he's a very practical guy. He's a very pragmatic guy, always doing number crunching. He is a people oriented guy, but one thing that he hates is giving gifts. Whenever he's attending a birthday party or attending an event, whenever it is something that where is a situation where he has to gift something to somebody, he hates that situation because he does not like to invest a lot of time in thinking that what would that person want, what would that person need. So in office, you know, we have a practice of doing Secret Santa during Christmas, and we were organizing this event of Secret Santa and, you know, doing this Secret Santa thing. What we do is we make a ball of chits and everybody picks one chit, and we don't show that chit, but whosoever we sees, we have to be a Secret Santa to him. So we need to gift something to somebody. So we know that who we are Secret Santa of, but we don't know who our Secret Santa is. I mean, the whole thing of Secret Santa is this only. And so I had no idea that who my Secret Santa is. But in general, I have a habit of discussing books. So in general friend settings, I discuss what my current book is, what am I reading, what am I gaining through that book, what am I learning, and what is this one next book in my reading list, you know, what is my next book that I'm going to attend to or read to. So in general, you know, when that Secret Santa event happened, and when a lot of all my employees and everybody, all my colleagues gathered around this one particular area, and it was announced, so I was called at that place. You know, we are all called when that part happens where we are going to get gift from our Secret Santa, and we have to guess that who, we have to pick the gift and we have to guess the whole normal Secret Santa procedure. And when I was able to guess wrong, but when it came to my knowledge that okay, this particular guy, my business partner, is only my Secret Santa this year, my hopes were not that very high, because I know how he selects gifts, because most of the time he selects gifts, he selects with me only because he needs my help or he needs somebody's help to select the gifts. He never selects his gifts alone. And this time he was gifting me. My hopes, where were my hopes? Really down. And when I opened my gift, it was that one particular book. To name the book, it was Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I was discussing it with him in way conversations generally, and that was also way back in the past months. And he remembered. You know, and that was a huge, it may not look like a huge thing, but it is a huge, I know because I know him for last 15 years, it's a huge thing for him. And, you know, I was moved by that gesture of kindness. Just him remembering that I wanted this book to read. And I was just not buying it because I had a lot of books, you know. So normally, it was a huge thing for me. Just him remembering. And that was kind of an eye-opener. That was such a powerful personal message that if somebody attends to these little things, understands you clearly and knows that what is it that you may want, those little act of kindness, attending to those little things matters a lot. So if you want to increase your emotional deposit with somebody, make sure that you attend to his or her little things. Number 3, keeping commitments. Keeping your commitments. Whenever you make a promise, you come through that promise is one of the most huge kind of deposits that you can make. And on the contrary, keeping commitments and not coming through is one of the most major kind of withdrawals that can happen, because people tend to build their hopes around promises, especially if those promises are made around their livelihood. So if you promise somebody and you do not come through, the next time when you make a promise, that promise does not hold any value. I'll give you an example. This same friend that I was talking about, who attended to those little things when it was not hoped for, that same friend when we were in college together. Yes, me and my business partner were in college together. He had this huge habit of not coming on time, and at the same time he used to do promise multiple meetings at the same time. So for example, at 4 o'clock I have to meet him today. He would promise the same 4 o'clock slot to somebody else also. He was very casual that way during his college days. So what used to happen was, every time he was supposed to meet you, there are only 50% chances that he will meet you today. 50% chances that he'll go out and meet somebody else, and he will just apologize later in the evening that he could not come. So when he kept on doing that over and over years, what started happening was, people started taking him casually. This happened. So what happened was, now whenever he used to give time to somebody, people used to come late, because they used to think, okay, he's any which way is going to be 2 or 3 hours late, so what the hell we will do by going on time. So now, on the contrary, he started waiting. And at the same time, whenever he used to fix up a meeting with somebody, that person used to cancel meeting. This was in college days. Casual meetings I'm talking about, not the professional settings. He became very serious in his professional settings later on in his life. But what I'm trying to say is, when you do a promise and you do not come through, people stop believing in you. So this is very important for yourself also. If you want people to believe you, if you want people to trust you, you must keep your promises. Number 4, clarifying expectations. Many times, guys, we fall into misunderstandings, negative situations, just because we have not clarified our expectations vis-a-vis to our colleague, vis-a-vis to our family members, vis-a-vis to our children, vis-a-vis to our wife. What happens is, there are situations where, we feel that it is very evident that our expectations are clear enough and evident enough. But later on we find out that, okay, it was not that evident enough. And by that time, a lot of misunderstanding has compounded and a lot of negative situations emerge. I'll give you an example. Last year, we were building the digital wing of our advertising agency. We were building it up, strengthening it further. We have our digital wing for the last 5 years. We were strengthening it further. And what we decided was to have a digital head on board. So we sold our stake. We sold about 5% of our stake and got on board a digital head. And what happened with that was, so it was very nice in the beginning. It was great in the beginning. A lot of things were going on positively. But in our second board meeting, what happened was, when all the partners sat with the digital head and we discussed, okay, let's discuss results now. What has happened in the last month? He came out and said, I cannot discuss right now because the expectations were not cleared. So there were a lot of points which we thought he will be bringing on the table, and he could have easily also. But it was not just made clear to him that he has to function in those areas as well. What I learned personally through this was that if you do not clear your expectations right in the beginning, you will face certain problems down the road. So, and it's just not in your professional settings. Take an example of your children. If you ask your son or your daughter to clear the room today, and he just clears the room the way he feels the room is cleared, and when you enter the room 5 hours later, you realize the room is not cleared, because the expectations were not clear. That, in my opinion, a clear room sounds like this or looks like this. At the same time, guys, it takes a lot of courage also to clear the expectations. Many times there are certain situations where, by not clearing expectations, you avoid certain conflicts, and by clearing expectations, you enter into certain conflicts. But believe me, guys, truly believe me, if you go on the path of not clearing your expectations right at the beginning, you face a lot of problem and negative emotions and negative situations down the road. And you don't even get to see the positive results which would have come if you would have cleared the expectations right at the beginning. So yes, a lot of upfront effort is required while clearing down the expectations, and a lot of people would not like to do that kind of work. But believe me, guys, I can assure you, if you clear your expectations in all the areas of your life, in all the relationships of your life, you will see the results. Number 5. Building and reflecting high levels of integrity. Guys, we can understand somebody. We can even fulfill and keep our promises. We can also clarify expectations and meet others' expectation. But if we have low levels of integrity, we cannot build high level of trust with other people, or our emotional bank accounts cannot increase. What is integrity? Guys, a lot of integrity comes from honesty, but I'll say integrity goes beyond honesty. It is showcasing that you come from a set of principles and a set of core values, and you treat everybody from the eyes of equity. Okay, I'll tell you how to build high levels of integrity. One way of maintaining high levels of integrity and showcasing that you are an integrated person is by being loyal to those who are not present in front of those who are present. Guys, everybody, including me, have a habit of entering into gossip sessions, entering into grapevines. Take for an example, say for example, me and you enter into a session of grapevining and gossiping about our third friend, and we keep on criticizing, back bitching, and communicating bad things, bad mouthing about him. What happens if you and I have a fallout? Now you know completely that for a fact that I may be bad mouthing about you now. I may be entering into gossip sessions about you with somebody else, because you know me as a person. I have a habit of doing that. So one way of developing high levels of integrity is to defend those who are not present in front of those who are present. This is kind of reflecting to those also in their subconscious mind that okay, this person does not deceive, this person does not badmouth about people, this person comes from a set of core values and he would not like to deceive other people. Guys, tell me this. If you know that in front of you I have betrayed somebody else's trust, what is your subconscious mind accepting about me? What is your subconscious mind observing about me? Now your subconscious mind knows for a fact that if situation comes for my benefit, I may betray you too. Will you be able to build trust for that person? In short term, yes, entering into gossip sessions may build confidence with some person whom you are entering into gossip sessions with. But in longer run, even that person is not trusting you. Whereas if you come from an integrated background, if you are a highly integrated person, if you have high level of integrity, everybody knows that you not like to deceive. So in my opinion, building high level of trust involves having high level of integrity. And guys, one more last thing. There is one more thing that you can do which can help you to understand this better. Whenever you make withdrawals by mistakes or knowingly or unknowingly, there will be situations when you will be making withdrawals, when you will be hurting other people, when you will be lowering down your trust levels without even knowing it. When you get to know that you have hurt somebody, and this is my sincere request, guys, when you understand that you have hurt somebody, do not feel justified about it. Apologizing sincerely is also a kind of deposit. If you have hurt, if you have said some mean things to somebody, your friends, your colleagues, your professional environment people, your family members, your spouse, your children, if you really feel that that was not justified and you have hurt somebody, apologize sincerely. You can say things like, that was very unkind of me. I sincerely apologize. I should have not said those things to you. I should have not done this to hurt you. Believe me, guys, if you apologize sincerely, that is also a kind of deposit, and then the person forgives you, and that also builds a level of emotional trust. But guys, when I say apologize sincerely, that does not mean keep on doing mistakes and repeatedly apologizing. Repetition of apologies without correcting your mistakes or without understanding your mistakes truly is a big withdrawal. And guys, believe me, there will be certain people who feel like that if I have said this mean thing, it is because of this. They try to justify. Guys, to apologize sincerely needs gentleness of heart. Weak people cannot apologize. People who have deep internal insecurities cannot apologize. And we know these kind of people, they are all around of us. They know within themselves, within their heart, that they have done something wrong. They know they have ignored somebody. They know they have said mean things to somebody. They know they have badmouthed somebody behind their back, but they will never apologize. And on the top of that, they will try to justify their behavior. But these people come from a weaker internal sense of security, and saying sorry to them means that they have accepted that they were wrong. It kind of destroys their internal sense of security, and it kind of makes them appear weak. They feel that they will appear soft and people will leverage and take advantage of it. They don't know how to apologize sincerely. Do not repeat this mistake. If you want to have a continuous, sustainable, long-term relationship with people around you, whenever you do a mistake, apologize sincerely. And guys, I hope that you have liked today's video. I hope that it has added value to your life. if you practice these 6 major kinds of deposits, I'm sure your relationships around you will flourish. Guys, one more last thing, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon, because that will motivate me to keep on doing all these efforts of making these videos for you. Thank you again. And stay motivated, because you are amazing when you're motivated.